But this is only in German. But if you want one, I could also give you one later.
Wait,
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you give those to? Who do you give the brochures to?
Well, that depends. I mean, of course, to some people who are interested in the project at all. Also to politicians, to other institutions who want to know more about how we develop this whole thing. Because it's, of course, you can't keep a thing like this actualized all the time. So it's titled that it's a chronic from 1999 till 2010. And then the last 3 years were anyway difficult.
The last 3 years?
Yes.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because the whole estate was sold as a private property.
Yeah, 2008.
Yes.
So, yes.
Now you have a contract till 2019.
Well, yeah, we do have a contract, but it's still under kind of negotiation.
Ah, okay.
Because, well, it's a difficult story. So maybe you ask first what you want to know, and then we probably will come to that anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you can start introducing yourself, like with your name and age and what you do in the organization.
Yeah. Well, my name is Kristine Schütt, and currently, I started here as a project partner with a music project in '99 when we first got here. I was asked by a friend if we would have a project, or I would have a project I want to realize. And we were looking for a musical project space for doing drum workshops and producing music and stuff like this. So we went in here and started from scratch to build up the whole thing.
And you were some of the first that started
Yes,
using?
yes.
So there was just nothing here before?
No, it was all abandoned. And it was closed to the public as well. So there were all the walls around. Every gate was closed except for the gate 3, because there's still one railway workshop running.
Oh.
It was a railway repair factory, so since 1865. And it grew and grew. And then it was closed down in 1992 and 1994. The last thing that was a school, a kind of workers' school for craftsmanship, closed in 1994. And from then on, it was completely abandoned and closed to the public. And only Talgo is working, which is they do the cleaning of intercity night trains. You can see it if you come from Warschauer Straße. There is a long hall, and this is still doing some railway repair. They're cleaning the trains and repairing trains there. But that's the only remnant of that. So everything else was just empty and nothing happened. And then some neighbors here, and especially Carola Ludwig, she's living here on the corner of Simon-Dach-Straße. They had this vision, and they founded the association in 1998, because they said, wow, it's all empty and it's such a big place, and we need something here to develop the district and in a cultural way and a social way, and we want to do something about that. So they started calling projects. And
It was called R.A.W. back then already? Or?
Yes, because it's a shortcut for Reichsbahn-Ausbesserungswerk. And
we read that on the...
Yeah. And then Franz Stenzer, it was called R.A.W. Franz Stenzer. He was a communist worker.
Okay.
And when the factory had a 100-year jubilee, they named it after him, because he was killed by the Nazis on flight from a concentration camp. So he got famous. He was a communist Munich train a railway worker. And so then they named the whole place after him. Mm-hmm. And then when we came, the association started to to send mail or whatever to the railway company, the German railway company, and they tried to start negotiations about how we could do something here. And first they didn't react at all, and then another friend of mine, Bibiana Hauer, she also had experience with projects like temporary art projects on industrial estates and stuff like this. So they asked her to come into the association, and then they started to do some political lobby work in the district government of Friedrichshain. And so they managed that they got the support, and the local people here, they said, the politicians said that might be a good idea. So they helped in the negotiations, in that way that we got a temporary contract for 3 years, but only for the 4 buildings, not for the whole estate, but for these 4 buildings, because these are historically protected buildings. And they were obliged to keep them up somehow, but they didn't want to put money in, so probably they thought, we can make a temporary contract, and they made it with the local district, and the local district gave it to us. So it was from the beginning a very good understanding with the municipality and the politicians in the district, because they just thought that it might be a good start and a good idea to develop the whole estate in terms of integrating it to the neighborhood. So that's how we started, with the first 3 years temporary contract. And in the beginning we have been about 20 or 30 projects. So there was a fluctuation. Some people, when they came here, they said, we can't handle this, and then they stepped out, but others came in. So we started from nothing. There was in the houses all the office stuff, and some of the stuff was just left here. So we had to clean it all out, and everybody had to find out which rooms would suit best what they want to do. And it was a quite mixture of painters, sculptors, musicians. We have kind of a drum factory upstairs.
Oh, a factory?
Yeah, it's a manufactory, actually. And they developed a special tuning system for frame drums, and they have a patent on that. And they're building these frame drums by hand. And they were also here from the beginning. And some photographers. They had a little gallery in the first house and stuff like this. So we had to make everything usable. We had no electricity, no water, no heating in the beginning, and we had to do all this by ourselves.
How did you get money for doing that?
Actually, in the beginning we didn't get any money, and then after 2 years the railway company gave it to a daughter company, Vivico Real Estate Management, and they should develop these leftover estates for the German railway company to pay back debts to the German government. And so it was partly privatized, and they said, we terminate the contract. If you want to stay longer, you have to make it officially proper, you have to make a business plan, and you have to give us a concept what you want to do there. And if you can get some funding to renovate the houses and make it officially allowed for public use, then we could give you a long-term contract. So the association then decided that we want to do that, because after 3 years everybody put a lot of work in here already, and we just thought, okay, we could as well stay. And so we had this business plan, and then we got some European funding. There was a program. It was called Urban 2 program, and it was for underdeveloped city regions, especially in the eastern Germany side, because then after the wall came down, everything was still like needed to develop. So the European Funding Association, they gave money to do work as well in the city. In this program, we got about 400,000 euro. And that was not all from Friedrichshain, but also from Lichtenberg, because the idea was exported to a similar project, which is called Low Ateliers. It's near Nöldner Platz. And they wanted something like this idea there, but they just started, so they gave some of their European funding to us as well. And then in this building here we had the most kind of public use, because there's the acrobat and artistic circus people upstairs who put a lot of work in their spaces. These are the biggest spaces we actually have for workshops and movement. And also we gave like workshops, musical workshops, and there was another room for music, the samba room for samba drum groups and stuff. So because there was a lot of public use in this house and it had the worst technical state of all the houses, we decided that we would use the funding firstly to renovate this house and get it a proper heating, proper sanitary things like toilets, water, showers, and stuff, and central heating. Yeah, and so they gave us a contract, 10 years contract then, when we managed to do this, but only for this house. And the other houses, they should have been developed after the same model, in a way. But then several things happened, like this European funding program was stopped, so there were no Urban 2 funding anymore. And Berlin is a poor city, so we got to follow up for this house at least. We got some money from the Berlin government, but it was not enough to also do the other houses. And the Vivico, they didn't talk to us anymore. They just didn't react. They didn't negotiate. There was a round table actually, but they just didn't do anything anymore. I mean, we had a whole planning process with them here, with participation of the citizens and everything. The whole developmental planning process was already done, and there was what you call in Berlin B-plan. In Berlin it's like that. If somebody wants to develop an area as big as this is, they have to go to the district government, and there is a planning board. So they have to present their planning to the district government. And then the district government says, okay, but we have to have participation of the citizens. So this is a very, very fine-tuned process in what they can do, especially if you want to build apartments for living in. And there was a long process in these first years to negotiate about this whole developmental plan, and finally there was an architect from the Netherlands, Kees Christianse, who won they do something like a competition. Yeah, so there are 3-4 architects of several developers who present their models, and he won this, and this planning was supposed...
Bernie ist noch nicht da. Wir haben jetzt einen Zettel reingemacht. Schlüssel bei euch.
Ja.
Ja, natürlich.
Okay.
Okay.
Ja, ja.
Wenn Bernie jetzt mal kommen sollte, dann ist er...
Okay. So...
But why did they stop talking to you?
Yeah, the problem was when this developmental planning process was finished and the plan was ready, they couldn't find any investors. Because Kees Christianse said this is an area which should be developed in terms of sustainability in small parts. and always with the participation of the neighborhood and the politicians and the people who are already using it. And by that time we were here, and also the skaters were here. They started in 2002, and they also got a 5-year contract at that time with the Vivico. So they built a skate hall and a club and a cafe, and they have a little nice garden in there. And also they started reusing this big bunker tower for climbing. And also, of course, they wanted to stay. And so I think that in that moment, the Vivico, they just didn't see that their idea of development got through, because they had another planning, another project. They wanted to really build high skyscrapers and office spaces, and so they had their idea how to make money from the estate. And so because that wasn't happening, I guess that they just decided, well, we can't do anything with that anymore. And so they sold it. And in the meantime, between 2005 and 2007, they just didn't talk to us anymore. They even tried in 2005 to kick us out of the other houses, because they said, yeah, you didn't renovate them and you didn't do anything according to your business plan. But that wasn't our fault, because you couldn't get funding without the long-term contract. And so it was a kind of a funny situation. And also I think maybe some people here didn't think so much in terms of future development. They were also tired of negotiation, and they were also like, well, we got something done. So then in 2005 we talked to the local department and said we want to stay, and we paid for all our electricity, because they threatened us to that they take the electricity away for the front houses. But actually we paid the access and everything, and we said we don't let them in. And we went to the regional, to the district municipality and said, what's going on? They're going to kick us out. So they asked them to come back to the round table, but that really didn't happen. But they also said that they made a real political statement that we should stay here, and also the skaters should stay here.
So when you say we, are you together with the skaters and the climbing, or are you separate organizations?
We are separate organizations, okay. But at that time there was at least the idea that we should form an overhead organization.
For the area?
Yeah, and that's what we actually did. There was, for part of time, we had this, it was called Revala Fünfeck, because also the participation of the neighborhood was organized by one project which was located here, but then later moved to Lasker Straße. That was a workstation EV, and they founded the Ideenaufruf, a call,
what is EV?
Call for ideas. And they also got money from the district to organize all the participation process for the citizens. So they made little events to give information to people and ask people what kind of ideas they would have, what projects they want to see here, what kind of development they would like. And so this whole thing, finally we got this association of all the people who were already here and were using the space. So we tried to form a kind of overall concept, and that the B plan should be followed. But then the Vivico just didn't get back to the round table. Between 2005 and 2007, nothing really happened, and then all of a sudden we were confronted with the fact that they sold the whole premises for €4.5 million to a private company, which was obviously just founded to do this.
Oh.
and they didn't even give us a chance. I mean, for 4.5 million, even at that time, we could have asked a foundation or whatever, or try to get the money together and found a Genossenschaft or whatever to develop the whole thing. But we didn't even know. No. And people maybe also were not awake enough. Yeah, I don't know, because at that time I wasn't involved in the overall political negotiations and stuff. Now I'm in the head committee since 2009, and of course I'm very busy about all this. But
are you employed? Do you get paid? So you do this voluntarily?
Yes. No. We have a head committee which is volunteers. This is German law in an association like that, which is a registered charity. The head committee has to work voluntarily.
Yeah.
All you can get, all you can get is a little bit of fee for whatever you have on telephone costs or whatever. So I get €20 a month. But also I think nowadays, 2005, the association would have been well away with making a decision to pay somebody like a Geschäftsführer, I don't know the word, some business person who runs the business.
Yeah.
But the association never made that. They never could make up their mind to make a decision to have some professional people to run the business. And so also that was very difficult. I mean, we are now about 60 projects in the houses, and you have to do all the administration for the rentals. That's what the only money actually the association earns, by renting the space for artists. But we want to keep the rent low.
Yeah.
But this all has to be done. It's work. It's bureaucratic work. Nobody wants to do this.
No, that's
but
not
they
the fun part of it.
they didn't even want to pay a little more rent to pay somebody to do it. So it was always on the head committee to organize all this. And of course, at some points, with the Urban 2 process in the beginning, there were also some funded workplaces, but also this funding was cut after 1.5 years. So we couldn't prolong this, because we didn't have enough money to pay the people further and stuff. And the only funding then since then we get is like we work together with a job center. So we run some programs with the job center to support workless people. That's what they call €1 jobs, like. And of course, this is also sometimes politically a question mark for many people, but on the other hand, we have a lot of people here who appreciate that because they are working voluntarily for the association, and then sometimes when they are on Hartz IV, they are happy that they get a little more, so they even come to us and ask if they could work. So then, so it's a bit of, some people don't like this politically. No. I can understand this very well, but also it helped to at least pay some people in the administration, like office people, bookkeeping people, and stuff like that. But then we don't have any other funding, actually. Basically, it's just the membership fees and the rents. And we had our own event team for a couple of years who were running events in the hall, and they always argued that they would also refinance the whole association. But in the end, it turned out that that was not right, because they made some mismanagement, and that led to some really bad imbalances. And finally, there was a voting in the association that they should stop working and that we rent out the event hall, which we did, so that we have a fixed financial base on that, because they just pay more rent.
What about the clubs and the event hall, and do they make like profits?
Well, the event hall probably makes profits, but now it's just we calculated that we need such and such rent to just cover what we cannot pay otherwise.
Yeah.
So, and that's how we run it. But now this is going to be finished soon as well, because these people who run it now, they run it really as a club, and we don't have a permission for that, actually. Yeah, because from the building department and from the whole overall concept for this event hall, we have a permission to use it as an event hall for concerts, theater, readings. So it's more like a cultural concept.
Yeah, not just
and it's not a club.
is-
It's not a club or discotheque concept, because for that you need totally different permissions.
Yeah, of course.
And we don't have that. And we told these people, but they were not able to manage it differently. So now we have to terminate that as well, because now we got all the process with the building department, and we have a permission as an event hall, but not for a discotheque. And they didn't even get this done.
They have to find someone new who can rent it, perhaps.
Yes.
Who wants to use this area? Who is it? Who are using these areas? Who's coming here?
Oh,
Like,
all kinds of people. I mean,
not the ones renting, but the ones just coming.
It has changed over the years. In the beginning, it was more like a green oasis, because there was so much nature here, which had been growing since during all the emptiness.
Yeah.
So, and now since the new owners are here, all the halls, this was all empty. But since 2008, they rented out all the other places to other clubs, to commercial businesses, like
restaurants.
and stuff. So now it has been changing radically. So as well as the whole district changed. When we started here in Simon-Dach-Straße, there was one pub, one, and a head shop, and that was it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
in the area here.
Yeah. There was nothing. And now you look at this, and it's a perfect tourist place, like one restaurant and one bar beside the other, and design fashion shops and whatnot. Yeah, so the whole area was undergoing a heavy process of gentrification anyway. And now we can say that there's many tourists coming here, of course. In the meantime, there were also a lot of graffiti artists who were using the big one without the roof now. Yeah, this had a roof in the beginning, but it was closed to the public. But of course they went there. And it was the biggest wild exhibition of graffiti art you could ever find in Germany. I mean, that was just amazing.
Yeah. And we can see like graffiti has a really big influence on the place.
Yeah, and then of course like the skaters, they have their own posse, like all the climbers and skaters and bikers and what.
Yeah.
And to us, there is many people coming here who just want to take classes, like musical classes or circus classes. They have founded a children's circus upstairs, and so there are, I don't know, during the season, there's about 250 children here each week for circus classes, and also grown-ups. And some people also just from the district, they come here, they came here and landed here and helped voluntarily. There's people here for years who just work in the cafe or try to help doing things. Yeah, and so it's mostly cultural interested people, and all the tourists are coming now. And at night time, it's for the clubs.
We just saw the police, and we were just talking to them shortly, and they said there's a lot of drugs and fights here.
Yeah. Since it opened up so much since 2008, and there are more clubs than just the one or two. That's an ongoing problem. Yeah. because there are also gangs fighting and stuff. So that's not very nice. And that attracts them, of course, because there's a lot of in the weekend and nighttime here. It's a totally different place. It's a totally different place. Yes, there's no like, you don't feel safe sometimes. Like,
That's not good.
no, and that's why now the Landeskriminalamt, not the district police, but the Berlin police is keeping a keen eye here on, and even they did some observations and stuff, and we also are cooperating because we don't want to have this shit here, and we can't do it by ourselves. There have been very violent attacks on people, so we can't have this. And that's one of the bad things which happened since it's private property, because they also have a security, but the security doesn't really work in a way. And it's more like they give us a hustle, and they also gave us a hustle about drugs and people here selling drugs and stuff, which turned out in one case to be true. Like one project partner was behaving very badly in that case, and we had to get rid of them. But in the most cases, it's not our people.
No, it's other people.
So, that's one more problem on top, because they attracted it by renting out all these places to commercial clubs, and of course you have a whole night scene here, and then they will come. You can't avoid that.
No, of course not. What about like in the winter? There you have a lot of like outdoor areas and the climbing areas and like.
The climbers, they actually renovated a small hall where you can do indoor climbing as well now. Yeah. And also for skaters in winter, they have more season than in the summer. Of course. Yeah, because in winter outside skating is not so interesting for us, so they go here. In summer they don't have so much, but they do sometimes. They do these big competition events, like with big sponsors and stuff. And they do this in summer or in spring.
Because we could see like the skate hall is closed now.
No.
It's not?
I don't think so.
Maybe it was just because we were here early.
They don't open up so early in summer.
Maybe it's just because of that,
They in winter they start earlier, I guess, because there's just more business. But in summer, it's not so much. Yeah, and of course in winter everything is more inside. Yeah, and we don't have actually any more outside spaces. The new owners, during the negotiation, they took it all away. We had much more space when we were still negotiating with the Vivico. They made a middle fence here, so we couldn't use the other parts, but it was a clearly defined kind of space. And along this middle fence, there was a group also with the €1 jobbers and some other people who made a little park along the fence and made it nice and green, and then behind the big, where also the big concrete space below Warschauer Straße, the fence was running nearly half, so we had half of that, which was also a very nice green garden, and they all took it away. They took the fence away. They felled trees, which they weren't allowed to until we stopped that by the regional department. And so now we have only the little garden in front of the first house, and the garden with a little monument in the middle, and this is 5 meters along here, and between here and the street, all this little thing. But then everything else is not ours anymore. We can't. We always have to ask for permission. If we want to do Fête de la Musique, if we want to do a summer fair, we always have to ask permission.
You ask the owner? Who is owning this place, do you know?
Well, now that changed again, because first it was R.A.W. Berlin Development, and this was a company of different parts of owners. And there were also some Icelandic investment groups involved in that. So then 2008, these people had a big problem, and they couldn't follow what was happening here, because in Iceland everything went upside down, especially on money and real estate and stuff. Yeah. So it was all frozen. And then now we always negotiated with the German part of the company, and they really were giving us a hassle. And they also were not very polite with the local building department and the local developmental department. And they really behaved like very, very, I don't know how to say that, not very diplomatic, at least. And so they didn't get anything what they really wanted. And they also swapped their plans about what they want to do here. Yeah, first they wanted to force the planning department to make a new B-plan process, because the old B-plan was taken away. And then the regional government said, no, but you first give contracts to R.A.W. Temple and the skaters, and then we can talk about a B-plan.
Okay.
And then they found all kinds of tricks, like really rule and divide. Yeah, they smashed our whole overall association in just forcing the skaters so hard that they stepped out and negotiated singly.
Okay.
And then we were forced to negotiate.
So that's
also.
Why you're separate now.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. And that was a very, very difficult process. And finally, it was possible to get this 10 years contract in December 2010, but only for 3 houses. Yeah, the ambulatorium, which was a little event space for variety and small concerts, and we had a people's kitchen in there every week, once a week, with cultural program, with free entrance. I was running this for 1.5 years, doing the booking and the management for that. It was a very nice event, because all the people could come, and you could present some people, even international bands, who just landed here and said, can we play? We don't ask money. So we did a hat, and then we had a cultural program every Tuesday in there, and food for $2.50 for everybody. So that was also a volunteer team. And yeah, all this was taken away. We had to close down that building because they said it's not safe to do events in there. Christian, sorry.
Ja, ganz kurz. Wann bist du fertig?
Weiß ich jetzt noch nicht.
Ja, die nächsten halben Stunde?
Weiß ich nicht.
Okay. Es geht um die APL-Nummer von den Kasten.
Was? Ich weiß das wahrscheinlich gar nicht. Frag mal Dietmar oder so.
How many volunteers? How many volunteers?
Here, in total, at the moment, I think it's just about changing, but because now the cafe becomes a different setup, but usually there is about 20 in different, like 10 in the cafe and some other people working in terms. And then there's some members of the association who sometimes also put work in temporarily, like taking care of the homepage or doing some administration work temporarily, or in a very specialized area. Like there's people in the one guy in the bookkeeping who just gets very, very little money, but he has done all the calculations back for the last years and cleaning up all the misfits.
Oh.
So, that was a huge kind of work.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah. So there is people helping, but actually the most of the responsibility stays with the head committee, of course.
Yeah.
How many are you in the head committee? How many are you in the head committee?
We are 4, but actually working are just 3 because one of them has a regular job, so he can't do so much.
So are you doing
sometimes people, sometimes we have been 5 people in the head committee in the former years. So sometimes it was a bit better, than they could really split who was doing what and so. But at the moment, in the last 3 years, it was like nobody wanted to be elected, and we don't get anybody to take the responsibility, actually.
Is this a full-time job? Is this a full-time job for you?
Well, I also have to live.
Yeah.
So it's not a full-time job because I have to do my own project and I teach music, basically. That's what I live off.
And you teach here, I guess.
Yeah. But overall, I would say at the moment I'm not doing enough work in my own project due to the fact that I have too many things to do for the association. So it's half and half. And at least I managed to have a weekend. And the first years I didn't even have a weekend. When we were building up here, we were here every day, for years.
So what is stripping you? Why do you do this?
Well, I think this is like... I don't want to work for a company. I don't want to work... I mean, I've been a freelancer most of my life. I'm my own boss. So, and I can't... I tried to work for companies a couple of times. I can't. I'm not like a person who can really just do an 8-hour job and then go home. It's not possible. So I decided I'm a freelancer, and I was a dancer for a long time, and then I swapped that for music. But I think I believe in visions, and that was a clear vision to do something here. And even it turned out differently than maybe we thought. Yeah, it's a very interesting process, and also I learned a lot. I mean, maybe also I learned things which I never thought of I would have to learn. But if you are in a process like this, I think the best thing, what also Bibiana said, the best description is what Joseph Beuys said. If you form a social plastic, a social sculpture. Yeah, and this is what this is, and it's a process, and you learn that how processes work between people, processes concerning all these little and big things. Yeah, sometimes this is like a village, and you see all the things which happen in big politics. You see them like in a mirror, in the small scale. And then on top of that, also, because there are so many creative people here, and people who don't have much money, then all of a sudden things happen. Like there are associations in between, and you help each other, and you don't need a lot of money. Like when we were doing our rehearsal spaces here, we built chambers, room-in-room chambers, to make them soundproof. And we did all this from nothing, basically. Yeah, we got material from the big fairs. We had people helping us building it, so we could do it with very little money. but on a very, very high standard in a way. So, and also there's workshops here, so we could always swap work or materials, so then you don't need so much money. You have a synergetic effect sometimes, yeah, in creating events. Like we had a Sunday variety for a couple of years in Ambulatorium, and that was collective work of the acrobatic people and some other project partners and musicians to create this event. So they could all work together to create this event once a month. And then after 1 year, it became such a success that they did it 2 days on the weekend because they were always sold out. And was a stage for presenting young people who just started their career as artists or acrobatic people. And we could even do, like, in this room, we could even do like trapeze art and stuff, like air acrobatics and stuff. And it was a real nice event once a month. And that, of course, attracted people. And then if you see sometimes what's possible, if many people are working together to get something on the way, it's an event or it's something needs to be done, it's also very rewarding in a way. And I mean, people come here from all over the world, whether to use our spaces or to have communication or to just enjoy. That's it's very nice. And so for me, it's like also now, of course, I was one of the last beginners here. And when they elected a new head committee, firstly they asked me to go into the negotiation group with the owners, because the former members of the head committee, they were just personally totally exhausted by this negotiation. So I agreed to that, but then 2 of them went off totally. And at that point I couldn't say, well, I just move out. So I had to take on other responsibilities too. And at least I want to see that whether we get a success now or it's finished, but it has to come to a kind of solution.
What's the criteria for success for you? What is that? What is success for you?
Is it a new contract or?
A renting contract, it turned out, is not the best solution. The best solution would be to buy a part or to buy the whole, and then develop it properly. And so now the Icelandic and the German company shareholders split it up. They had a lot of struggle, because when the Icelandic people came back here after they kind of got back to normal, they found out that obviously the German shareholders didn't do something sensible in terms of developing it, or didn't get any success, so they were really angry. And I think they had a lot of court trials as well among them. And now they split the whole company, and also they split the estate in 3 parts. So now we have 3 owners. And the last thing what they wanted to do is, because they found out that now building living apartments is important for the Berlin politics, they said they want to do building apartments in the eastern part, on the German part, where the German company is, and one of the new owners. And the Icelandic part is owning all this where we are on, and the skaters are on to the front. And they also wanted to build student apartments at this where the parking spaces beside the skaters, but they also wanted to use part of the beer garden, and the Cassiopeia Club would have to go. And of course then the skaters said, well, we don't get any public funding, and we have to refinance the skate hall, because there is no skate hall at all you can run successfully without whether funding or a kind of refinancing. So they need the club and the beer garden economically, because they are a private. I mean, they are also working with associations, but this is a private company, and they also.
That's where they earn their money.
Yeah. So now, finally, during all this shit, we got together again with the skaters, because also the local district gave us some hints that the pioneer users should get together here and make a clear statement and a clear standing that we want to buy our part and we're going to stay. And also the developmental department with both of the parties, the Green and SPD, made totally clear that these owners don't get a foot on the ground if they don't give us a real sustainable chance.
Yeah.
So now we have the situation that they might be thinking about selling it again.
Okay, new owners.
And this time we are prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the new owners.
So we hope in the best case we will be able to buy at least a part with the foundation and make it safe.
Yeah, so it's,
and then we can have really long-term contracts, and then we could go for funding for renovating the houses and to invest in the houses. Now we can't do that because even a contract until 2019 for 3 houses is not giving us a future. It's not even enough time to get funding.
No.
Yeah, not for the things we have to do. And these are historical protected buildings. That means we have to follow all the obligations. And if you do that properly, it's so expensive. And you don't get, like from they have a fund here for historical monuments, but this is only for really important monuments. So, and we are not a really important monument, actually. And now also the local mayor, who has supported us now over years, he's going.
Yes.
And they elected his follower, Monika Hermann, now. And so we have some time frame.
I just wanted to, I'm interested, what I have read, it's more where like the East and West meets here, like the East and West German. Like after the war, it was just a gathering place for both parts of the...
that was quite true, and it was even in our association's goals.
Yeah.
Because we are at the border line.
Yeah.
So these bridges were quite something to cross when the wall opened. I was living in Kreuzberg on the other side in West Berlin for a long, long time, and I was always living with the wall and the closed bridge on Oberbaumbrücke. So I know how that felt, and then all of a sudden that was open. But it took a long time, and still takes time. Still takes time, because the whole running of the districts and also the cultural understanding in here or over there is so different. It's completely different language, different development, different look on things. And so we said this must be one of our goals, that people here have a chance to at least come together and connect in creative ways, so we could have an exchange or cooperation, and then new things would grow. And I think also this happened because there were artists coming here from Kreuzberg or other West Berlin districts, renting spaces here, like me and my partner and other ones. But also there were a lot of artists coming from the eastern side. And there were also other movements in the districts, like there were some people who organized for 2 years a thing which was called Spektrale. It was an overall cultural festival of Friedrichshain district, and all the small galleries and artists, and also the old kind of from the GDR, like people who were in the cultural world at that time. They tried to organize a big cultural festival here. And we took, of course, part in that as well. So they tried to build up something, but still it's very difficult to... Now it's one district, Kreuzberg-Friedrichshain.
Yeah.
But still it's not...
It's not
one.
Yeah.
It's not one. It takes such a long time because minds of people are really different
Yeah.
in a way. Like artists in East Germany, they have been undergoing totally different processes, and also the institutionalized art circles were totally different from what happened. And in Kreuzberg and West Berlin, you had a funding politic which was very easy on people. Yeah, so they were really spoiled in a way. And then all of a sudden that didn't work out so good anymore, and they had to think of new things, but there was no basic solidarity in a way as well among projects. Only very few managed to do good networks, and so now the situation is very difficult because many of the free spaces which developed after the wall came down, there was a big, huge development of squat houses and arts like Tacheles and all this, and now this is going down because the Berlin government didn't care. They don't give a shit. Even if the tourists come here for that. Now we have a coalition of the free scene, which means all the theater people, the dance people, all these people, they form a coalition. And they're talking to the Berlin Senate about getting more money for the freelance artists, not the big institutional things like opera houses and big theater places, but for the free scene. That's why people come here. And that was because they were thinking about having the city tax for tourists, and they said we want half of the city tax income for the free
because
artists.
that's what...
Yes, but that's a beginning maybe, but still it's very, very difficult to get all the artists together to form a kind of union or to do that. But I think here it was a success that at least people here could collaborate and try to find out how the other one's mind work and what could come from if we are working together. So it was not like a formalized process. We bring East and West together. This is all on a very informal level. It just happens because different people come here and they have to collaborate one way or the other. And of course it didn't work out in all cases. We also had a hell lot of conflicts. This is normal. We have so many different people, many interests here. So,
who decides who can stay here?
Well, that's a very good question. We never had like fixed criteria. We always said it should be social or cultural projects, and at least they have to be able to pay the rent and what they use here. And it's usually since I think since 2005, it's usually the houses who decide. Every house has a plenum of people who are already there, and they meet more or less regularly, depending on the demands of what's to be done. And so the people come together, and if there is an application for space, it would be given to the appropriate house. Like if it's music, it would come here. So if it's art, it would go to the front houses, and then they see if there's space at all. At the moment, we don't really have any free spaces, and then the people would have to come and talk to the plenum and just introduce themselves and tell the people what they want to do and how they want it to do, and if they are also willing to collaborate with the other projects in the house. And then the plenum will give an advice to the head committee, and then they get a contract. So there's no fixed criteria about that. It's just the house profiles and the house communities which make a basic decision. And only in cases where we think it's a very stupid decision for some reasons, we would say
against it.
Yeah. But also, this is no law in the way. It's not written down in the regulations of the association, but it's something we formed ourselves in the process of being here.
Yeah.
So it's more or less an informal, self-organized kind of structure. And of course, the head committee has to watch that the economical things are
you have to do something
kept alive somehow. Yeah. But of course, there are calls of outside and also inside that we have to undergo a professional process, and everything should be more professional, and we should have some more criteria and blah 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 blah. And sometimes I think, well, you may do that. It doesn't lead to more creative activity. Yeah, it also may mean that you just get more institutionalized, and that's not always good.
So do they bureaucracy? Do they try to get you to do their rules, follow their rules?
We have to follow some rules at least. Yeah. I mean, building department rules are building department rules, and fire security rules you have to abide. Yeah. There is no way around that. But they have always been very, very friendly.
Okay, so you feel that they listen to you?
Of course, yes. But in terms of the content, I think there are no real, in capitalism it's very difficult. Yeah, you don't need even to have rules. What are we doing here? Yeah, but if we cannot present that we are important for the public, and that we are not producing any art which is worth the name, then people wouldn't give a shit. So we have to do that anyway. Yeah, we have to present ourselves, and we have to say, well, we are doing this and this and this.
So there are
and the best case,
rules.
you can even prove that with numbers and statistics, and say, we have 200 children coming here every week, and 100 grown-ups who are using the offers we give to the public. So we have to, of course, do something in terms of social and artistical proof in a way. Yeah. But I never heard from the local government that they want to give us any about what we do in terms of content. No. That would be more the case if you do go for real big fundings, like European funding for cultural activities, or
then they want
even if you go for Berlin big fundings. Yeah, the rules for the big funding projects are really, really strict, and this is so far from reality sometimes. It's. And you need professionals to even write these applications.
Yeah, so
it's not possible otherwise. Yeah? And then you also need professionals to do all the calculation and to do the final afterwards. So that's not so easy.
Expensive and time-consuming to try to get some funding if you.
Yeah, I mean, we will have to do that anyway.
Yeah, of course.
But then you have to think about extra projects which would involve the project partners. And I think there is a lot of potential to do that. Like now, last year, all the painters, they formed a group called Freies Ausstellungskollektiv. So they said, we are going to present what we produce in the houses so that other people can see what's happening here. And we want to do an external exhibition. And they managed to get a real, real good gallery on Karl Marx Allee. Okay. And they made a big exhibition. And it was really, really good. Yeah. But that was just the start. So I think they will go on and doing that. And they did it under really, really difficult circumstances. So I was amazed that they could make it happen. It was beautiful. Yeah. And so I think there is much more potential to do overall projects like this and also get funding for it once we have a safe base. Without a safe base, you're just hanging in the air all the time. Now the 2 stories in the front house are closed for over a year because of the fire security regulations, because the owners, they finally didn't accept our renovation concept. Okay. And they went to the authorities to say it's not fireproof, their own house. And the authorities said they are crazy, but we have to do something now because they ordered us, we have to. Yeah. They didn't want that.
No.
Yeah, but the 2 stories are closed now for 2 years. That means we don't get income so much from that. All the people are involved in renovating it, and we have to raise money without any safety to put it into the house. And it's a lot of money. I mean, even just to pay the architect to make the planning and to pay the professionals for making their statements, their official statements on, now it's safe and what do you need? And this is all thousands of euros just to pay for these people.
Yeah, and then
that is not even material for the building itself. So that's all what we do and try, and that's why we couldn't do anything like real big, nice cultural projects during the last 3 years. Even we did a summer fair, and we did Fête de la Musique, and we did all this stuff. Or there is a overall German Day of Historical Monuments where we always participate. So we do manage to do these, but we can't do anything on top at the moment. That's a pity. And that's why I'm interested in doing, using this potential and bringing forward more collaborative work between all the projects, which is there basically, but it could be even a lot more, I guess. So that's also one reason why I'm here, because I think this process is very interesting, to collaborate between different arts and to do, to develop new things.
Well, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. I'll try to get a brochure.
Yeah, that would be very nice.